Hello all, let's start section 1.4. 1.4, I will discuss for you design of experiments and observations. Basically here what I want to explain for you, what is the difference between an experiment, collecting data from an experiment, or collecting data out of an observation. What are the differences you have to know? Then in the next part, I will talk more about the word random. What does it mean? Because I used word random in my previous lectures, but actually we didn't explain it well what is random means, right? If you remember, I told you whenever you are collecting data, try to collect your data randomly. But what is this random? Okay, let's start with observation and experiment. Let's talk here about differences of observation versus experiment. What is the difference between these two? Observation, you collect measure. If I give you a kind of a good definition, specific traits, but does not modify the subject. I will explain it. What does it mean? Okay, but does not modify the experiment, modify the subject. What does it mean? You collect data. In statistics, we call it subject. Subject can be a human being, human beings. Subject can be a population. Sometimes we call it subject. They are subject for us. For us, we collect information, but we are not going to modify. Before modifying, we collect, we just observe, and we just collect data. For example, the example of polling, which we discussed a few times in your class, correct? For example, I want to collect information about next presidential election. There are two candidates or three candidates. I don't know how many political parties. At least I know Democrat and Republicans. I think there is another party, Green Party. It's not the matter of concern for us. We are not a political science class, but we want to collect information. We do a polling. Usually, they set up a hotline. People can share their information, or they send some questions to a group of people, and they collect information about the candidates, right? We are not modifying the subject. What is the subject here? The subject is those candidates, correct? We are not changing their ideas first and then asking questions about them from the people. We didn't modify, correct? Or another good example, the worst time in the century that we had coronavirus, correct? The government collect information about the cases of coronavirus in the United States of America. How many cases we have? They didn't modify. They didn't experiment on the subject. They just collect the information. How many cases we have? What is the difference now with experiment? I will first put a small kind of definition. Apply a treatment and then measure the effect on the subject. Again, a good example will be, again, coronavirus. At the time that they start to create a vaccine for coronavirus, they tested on the number of people, which we call those people subject. First, they did a treatment on the subject, then they collect information. Correct? We call this one experiment. That's the difference. In observation, you didn't apply any treatment. You just observe and collect information. In experiment, first you apply a type of treatment, then collect information. Or there will be another example, I think it's in your book, that a couple, a company once, they created a kind of medication that if a couple use that medication, they can choose to have a boy or a girl, a baby boy or a baby girl. Correct? What they did, first they did this treatment on a number of couples. Correct? Then they collect this information. Is it working really or not? Correct? If it's working, how much, how many, what is the percentage? Correct? If not, then they collect the information. They did first an experiment, then they collect an information. This is the difference between observation and experiment. Now, let's talk about the word random. What does it mean actually, random? Random in statistics means each member of population has an equal chance of being selected in the sample. I told you, when we collect sample, try to collect your sample randomly. But what does it mean random? If you target a population and you want to make a sample or pick a sample out of that population, random means each member in that population should have an equal chance to be selected in that sample. How? For example, your class has 40 students, right? If I want to collect a sample of 15 students, one way to give equal chance to all of you to be part of this sample is I will write your name in a piece of paper, collect all the names, put the names in a box, and I'll just pick up 15 pieces of paper from that box. And this way, all of you, all 40 students, has equal chance to be picked for this sample out of your class, correct? Remember, if on the test I ask you, what is random? Random means each member of population has an equal chance of being selected in the sample, correct? That's why in statistics, we always try to collect our sample or choose or select our sample randomly. If you don't, your sample will be biased, correct? Which I explained the other day in the class. What does it mean biased, correct? Now, when you use to select your sample randomly, there are ways that you can select your sample randomly. The first one, we call it simple random sample. What is simple random sample? Each group of size n has an equal chance being selected. Somehow, this is your classroom. Correct? And I have here 40 students in this class. What I can do, I divide your class in different groups. Each row will be a group for me. Correct? The number of these groups, the number of students in these groups, we call it n. How many students in one row is? I think it's 7 or 5 students in each row. That's the number of the group. Group has a size of, the group size is n. For example, in first group, the group is a size 4. Second group, size 4. Third group, size 4. All these groups has an equal chance. The member of these groups have an equal chance to be selected. This types of selection, we call it simple random sampling or sample. Correct? There are 4 common ways or I can say 4 common sampling ways that you can choose a sample. Correct? Number 1, we call it convenience. Remember, convenience, when you choose the way or the method, even I can call it method or way or technique, correct? To choose a sample, the first one is convenience, and convenience sampling, or I can call it convenience sample. We are here using an easy way to select a sample. For example, I can write like this: use the results that are easy to get or to choose. For example, I told you, in your class of 40 students, I will just choose the first 5 students as a sample that I know their names. Or they were before my students, I know them very well. And I talk and I ask a question, do you like mathematics or no? And I already know those 5 students because they were my students in previous semester. They will say yes to me. Or maybe they say no to me, correct? It's an easy way because I know 5 people in that class. I will select that 5 people as a sample. Or the other good example is when you do a presidential poll, for example, I'm Democrat or I'm Republican, I'll go just ask my friends about the uh, possible candidate that we will have, correct? Oh, Mr. X, what do you think about Mr. X? Most of my friends, they are sharing the same idea as I do, I have, right? Because when we choose friends, usually in our life, uh, somehow we become friend with the people that they're sharing the same ideas. For most of us, it works like this, correct? If I just go easily ask my friends, what do you think about Mr. X, that he's a candidate for the next presidential election? Of course, if they're Democrats, oh, he is really good. He will win, definitely, correct? And later I'll publish my results of my polling, and people see, oh, Mr. X from Democrat or Republican Party, he will win, and everyone will vote for him, which is not good. I'll be biased here, correct? Because I didn't ask all the people different. I just asked my friends. Now, what is the bad part of convenience sampling? Convenience sampling, it's not random. That's the bad part. You can always choose convenience sampling. Just call the people you know and ask about something. It's convenience, but it's not random. Correct? Number two, second way of sampling. Systematic. Systematic sampling or systematic sample. What we do here, put the population in some order and select every kit member. Every ent or kit, whatever you call it, member. That's the example that I already explained. Your class has 40 students. What I'll do here in this type of sampling, if I want to go systematic, first I'll try to, your class is a population of 40 students. First I'll try to put you in an order somehow. Maybe make groups of columns of 4, like this. Make 5 groups first. Then from each group, I'll go and select the kit member. Kit member means if I choose the first student, then I will say, okay, I'll choose the first, the third, or all odds, right? First, then third. I'll do the same thing here. First and third, first and third. Or maybe in next group, I'll do, oh, I'll choose from here the even one, second and fourth, correct? What I did here, first, I ordered my population. Then I select every ent or kit member from the group. This type of sampling, we call it systematic. Correct? You use a system to select your sample. The third way is stratified. I think we have an E here also, stratified. What we do here, break the population into subgroups based on a characteristic. Uh, based on a characteristic, or a characteristic, correct? Then sample each subgroup. There is a difference between this one and previous one. What you do, you go to a population, you make subgroups, but these subgroups are based on some characteristics. For example, if I do again the example of your class, I can break your class, or I can divide your class to subgroups. For example, the students aged 17 to 20 will be one of group. The students from 21 to 25, I'll make another group. The students from 26 to 30, I'll make another group. The students from 30 to 70, I'll make another group. Based on a characteristic, I will divide the population in my class, which is my students, for the students. I'll divide them based on a characteristic. Then I make or select a sample from each group. A sample from this group, a sample from this group, a sample from this group, and a sample of this group. Correct? This type of selecting a sample, we call it stratified. Or I can divide your class in two groups, two genders. Correct? Or if it's during, again, we will talk about election. It's election time, and you come to Riverside County, and you want to pick up a sample from Riverside County to from the people to talk about the two presidential candidates or three presidential possible candidates that we will have. What you do, first you divide Riverside in different communities, right? Our Spanish communities, our white community, our Muslim community, somehow based on a characteristic, you can divide your population. Then select what? Sample from each group. This type, we call it stratified, correct? The fourth way, cluster sample. What we do here, divide population, into clusters, it means regardless of characteristic. Randomly select a certain number of clusters and then collect data from the entire from the entire cluster. Cluster is like a group, right? First you divide a population in different clusters, but remember your clusters is regardless of any characteristic. Like in my class, I can divide you in clusters, but I cannot say, oh, in my first cluster, the students age 17 to 21. No, it should be regardless of any characteristic. I will just divide you as a clusters. Then I'll collect data from the entire cluster. Correct? This is the fourth way of sampling, which is really important. I know these are definitions. In chapter 2, our focus is more, we slowly start analyzing our data. We talk about data, but at least you should know in real world when you go and your boss and you're in an office and your boss, hey, can you do a survey for me? For example, you're working in a hospital and your boss comes and you're a nurse or you're an administrator. Hey, can you do a survey on our patients that we are receiving? Now, at least you should remember, okay, my professor told me in my statistics class, even that was elementary statistics, at least I know that when I do a survey, when I collect the information, first I have to make a sample. My sample should be randomly. Now there are ways of selecting randomly. You can apply these in your real life, correct? That's why chapter 1 it was really important. It's all definitions, no formula, no calculating. But I went slow because of two things. It was the first week of the semester. That's why I was slow a little bit. And I give you like a lot of time to actually learn these definitions. Know the meaning of them, right? Oh, I will choose my sample randomly. And if someone asks you, sir, can you explain what is random? Then, oh, random, what's random? That's why I gave you a definition. What does it mean, random, right? When you say random, random has a meaning, correct? This was all about chapter 1. We are done with chapter 1 and see you all in chapter 2 lecture.